They laughed at the man who built his cabin on stilts. They laughed until theirs were buried alive. Jack drove the last nail into a home perched 30 feet above the frozen ground.
Built a treehouse, Jack. First big wind will blow you right out of it.
Jack didn't answer. He'd heard the jokes for months.
Maybe he knows something we don't.
He's just stubborn. Mountains do that to a man.
The stilts rose straight and true, anchored deep in the frost-hardened earth. Inside, the cabin was warm already. A fire burned in the stone hearth. His dog, Ronan, waited at the base of the ladder, eyes never leaving his master. That evening, the first snowflake touched his shoulder. Jack looked north and knew the real test was coming.
The old trapper's words never left me. Build above the snowline. Boy, anything on the ground is a grave.
He'd seen cabins vanish under drifts in the high country. Only the chimneys showed above the white.
Silas, you need to listen. That snow out there, it's different this year.
Different. It's just a soft winter, Jack. Go back to your treehouse.
I've seen snow pack 12 feet in a night. Your ground cabin will be a coffin and you in it.
You hear that, folks? The mountain man says we're all going to freeze. Pay him no mind.
They won't listen. But winter will do the talking soon enough.
That night, Jack filled his woodpile higher and checked every trap. He'd seen what burying snow could do, and he was ready.
The northern sky is already heavy with snow. It'll come fast.
The towns slept in their ground homes. Jack alone knew what the darkening sky meant. By morning, a silent white blanket had covered the valley. The townsfolk barely glanced at it.
Soft winter, just like I said. Nothing to fret about. Shovels are half price.
Maybe Jack was right about the snow. It's falling heavier than usual.
He's just a lonely trapper. We have a solid roof, Owen. Don't fret.
Jack watched from his cabin porch, high above the deepening white.
The drifts are building. The real snow hasn't even started yet.
He swung his axe until the woodpile towered above the drift line.
That treehouse man thinks he's a prophet. Watch. His shack will still be a popsicle.
Ronan never left the base of the ladder, his thick coat enough to keep him warm. That evening, the snow fell thicker still, swallowing the fence posts and creeping up the cabin walls. Morning broke over a town that no longer looked familiar. Snow had buried the lower walls of every ground cabin, and men were fighting just to open their doors. Jack descended his ladder for the first time in days, a shovel in his hand and Ronan at his heels.
Turn around, trapper. We don't need a hermit telling us how to shovel.
Your door was frozen shut this morning. That snow's only going to get deeper.
We've handled winters before. Go back to your stilts and leave us be.
Maybe we should listen to him, Owen. The snow is past the windows already.
I don't know. Silas says he's just trying to scare us, but the air is getting heavy.
Jack climbed back to his cabin, knowing he had done what he could. Below, the town settled deeper into denial. That night, the Harper cabin grew dark and close. Thomas cried, and Owen could feel the weight of the world pressing on the roof. Jack sat by his fire, the quiet hiss of the snow against his windows a reminder that winter had only just begun. By mid-afternoon, a sharp crack broke the silence. A roof beam had splintered under the weight of the snow.
That was the McAllister place. I can't just wait. Eleanor, I need to talk to Jack.
Owen left his shovel and trudged through the drifts to the base of Jack's ladder.
Jack, it's Owen Harper. I need your advice. The roof beam cracked.
The trapper's cabin was so different. Light, air, no crushing weight, pressing down.
Keep a small opening high up, away from the wind. Just a crack. It'll let the bad air out.
Silas tells everyone to seal up. He'll call me a fool.
Silas is sealing his own grave. A little air is safer than none.
Owen hurried back through the deepening snow, the trapper's words a desperate hope.
Keep shoveling. It's just a heavy winter. Seal every crack. Nothing worse than a draft.
By nightfall, a squall had sealed the ground cabins tight. Lights flickered behind snow-crusted windows.
The lights are dying. They're running out of air.
He grabbed his shovel and descended into the blinding white, Ronan close behind. Jack found the vent. buried under 3 feet of drift, and dug until fresh air poured in. The family inside pressed their faces to the gap, gasping clean air for the first time in hours.
Keep it open. Just a crack. You'll make it through the night.
Look at him, playing hero. He'll have the whole town in a panic.
Owen Harper watched from his doorway, the weight of his own secret heavy on his shoulders. The wind began to rise, a low moan that made every man pause and look north.
This is just the beginning. The real storm is still coming.
A rider stormed into town before dawn. Blizzard. Get inside. Nothing will stand above ground.
Board everything up. No cracks, no vents. The wind will kill you quicker than any snow.
Eleanor, Jack said a small opening could save us. I am leaving a gap.
Then do it. Owen, for Thomas. I trust you more than Silas.
Jack lashed his shutters tight, leaving the high vent open exactly as he'd designed.
They'll either listen or they won't. Nothing else I can do now.
Seal every seam. I've kept this store through 40 winters by keeping the cold out and the heat in.
All across town, families hammered planks over their last air holes, following the storekeeper's command.
We've done it. Eleanor, just a crack, like Jack said. Now we pray.
Then the snow came, not falling, but driving sideways. The world turned white, and every door was buried alive. Inside Jack's cabin, the air moved cleanly. The high vent did its work, even as the blizzard screamed.
Wind and snow are banking the stilts. The cabin grows steadier by the hour.
In the Harper home, the small vent let in enough air. Thomas slept peacefully.
It's working. Owen, Jack was right. We can breathe.
But in Grant's supplies, the air had grown thick. Silas sat alone, his lantern flickering.
Why is it so hard to breathe? The store is tight, the cold is out, but the air is gone.
Ronan lifted his head and howled. The sound cut through the storm.
That's the store. Silas sealed himself in. He's running out of air.
Across town, sealed cabins became tombs, but Jack's cabin held its pocket of life. The blizzard would not break for hours, and in the buried store, Silas Grant was running out of time. Deep night. From the buried town, faint cries of the trapped broke through the storm's howl.
That's the Harper place. Owen kept a vent, just like I said. They might still be breathing.
He strapped on snowshoes, grabbed his rope and shovel, and pushed open the door into the blizzard's teeth. Ronan leaped into the drift beside him, his thick coat already heavy with snow, his nose searching for the scent of smoke. The town was gone. Only the thinnest trails of chimney smoke, ghostly in the blizzard, marked where homes lay buried.
Owen, Eleanor, Thomas, I am coming. Keep breathing.
He followed the smoke, wading through drifts that rose to his chest, snowshoes spreading his weight. He reached the Harper roof, a white mound, and drove the shovel down, searching for the door.
They're under here. Dig. Every second, they breathe less air.
The wind shrieked, but Jack kept digging, fighting the snow that tried to bury him too. The shovel broke through with a crack. Jack dropped into the dark, airless room where the Harper family huddled. Owen and Eleanor were barely conscious, slumped against the snow-pressed walls. Thomas's lips had turned a frightening blue.
He's not breathing right. Lift him up.
Jack took the boy into the driving snow and pressed his ribcage until a desperate cough broke the white silence.
Jack, you came for us. We owe you everything.
Stay low. Stay close. Walk in my tracks. The cabin's the only safety left.
Thomas, be brave. Just a little further. Your father and I are right here.
They reached the ladder. Ronan barked eagerly, his tail wagging as they climbed toward the warm light.
Climb. Get inside. There's fire and air waiting.
One by one, the Harpers rose into the warmth of the stilt cabin, but below, in the buried dark, the rest of the town still lay trapped and dying. Inside the cabin, Eleanor held Thomas close to the fire. His lips were losing their dreadful blue.
Jack, you saved my boy. I can't just sit here. Give me a shovel.
Then you'll come with me. The McAllister chimney still smokes. They might still be breathing.
Jack handed Owen a spare shovel. Together, they climbed down the ladder into the fury. The trail of chimney smoke was barely visible, but Jack followed it like a bloodhound. The McAllister cabin came into view, its window a faint glow in the white darkness.
They're still alive. Keep digging. Don't stop.
McAllisters, can you hear me? We're digging through. Hold tight.
The storm howled, but the two men kept digging, the pile of snow behind them growing. The snow fought back, but Jack and Owen refused to stop. Inside, a child cried. They broke through the McAllister roof into a blue-tinged darkness. The family inside was barely stirring, their breath thin.
Out now. Get the baby into the air.
A man and woman stumbled through the snow tunnel, a wailing infant clutched between them. They ran back toward the stilt cabin, the baby's cry, a sign of life against the wind. Inside, Eleanor took the infant and wrapped it in a blanket. The cabin grew close with bodies.
We need to make space. Owen, help me rearrange the tarps. Everyone must share the fire.
The buried town is full of fists pounding on ice. So many still alive.
Faint thuds carried from deeper in the buried town, fists on roof beams, desperate calls muffled by snow.
We can't stop, Jack. I hear them too. There must be 20 still trapped.
Jack nodded, his face set. The night was half gone. They had only hours before the air ran out entirely. They dug the elderly couple from their frozen home, guiding them to safety. The cabin now held a dozen.
Jack, I can't go on. My arms are done. We've saved who we can.
The store's silent. No smoke, no sound. Silas is in there, dying.
The store was utterly dark, buried deeper than any other building. No smoke rose from its chimney.
He laughed at you. He called you a treehouse hermit. Why risk your life for him?
Because if I don't, no one will. I won't leave a man to suffocate.
Jack trudged to the store wall and drove his axe into the frozen planks. Owen, barely able to lift his shovel, followed and carved at the ice-sheathed boards. A plank splintered inward. Through the dark hole, a faint, ragged voice breathed, "Help."
Silas, it's Jack. We're here. Keep breathing. We'll get you out.
The hole widened. Jack crawled into the dark, airless tomb. Silas lay crumpled behind his counter, lips blue, chest barely rising.
He's still alive. Barely. Get him out.
Jack hooked his arms under the storekeeper's shoulders and dragged him through the splintered gap into the driving snow. He slapped Silas's gray face until the older man coughed and sucked at the freezing air.
Breathe, Silas. The cold air is what you need. Keep breathing.
Owen staggered over and took Silas's other arm. Together they lifted him, the weight dragging them deeper into the drift. The cabin light was a small orange star ahead, impossibly far. The wind cut through their wet coats.
Jack, I was wrong. The store. I sealed it too tight.
Save your breath. You can tell me later. Safe by the fire.
They reached the ladder at last. Ronan barked from above, and hands reached down to pull them into the light. Silas was laid beside the fire, his face gray and wet with melting snow. Eleanor pushed a cup into his hands.
Drink it slowly. Warm water will help more than you think.
You were right, Jack. I sealed that store up like a tomb. I'd be dead if not for you.
Jack didn't answer. He just fed another log to the fire and watched the flames climb. The cabin suddenly shuddered. A fierce gust hammered the rafters overhead, and everyone held their breath.
The stilts were built for this. The snowpacks around them braces them.
Thomas, wrapped in a blanket, clutched his wooden dog and looked up at Jack with wide, trusting eyes.
I was wrong about you, Jack. Wrong about everything.
We're all breathing, that's what matters. Jack gave us that.
The storm wailed on, but inside the crowded cabin, strangers now shared all they had. The night passed slowly. A deep groan rolled across the valley, a roof beam splitting under the weight. Everyone in the cabin froze. Another ground cabin had collapsed. Silas stared at the floor, his face pale.
The snowpacks around the stilts grows solid as stone. They ain't just poles, they make a wall. And that high vent under the roof, it draws fresh air in. pushes the stale out.
Does that mean we're gonna be okay, Mr. Jack?
Long as we stay smart and keep the fire lit, this cabin'll do its job. So will we.
I never thought of snow like that before. It was always just something to shovel.
The group listened, and the strange treehouse above the drifts began to make a new kind of sense. Another gust shook the timbers, but the stilts didn't budge. Jack's design held true. They settled into the wait, watching the dark window for the first sign of gray. The first gray light touched the frost on the window. The storm had broken. Silence filled the valley. Jack pushed open the door and stepped onto the porch. The sun struck his face like a promise. The valley was a silent sea of white, smooth and blinding. Only his cabin stood above it. Owen stepped out beside him, clapped him on the shoulder, and said nothing.
We made it. The cabin held. They're alive.
Below, faint movements dotted the white plain. Hands broke through the snow, and heads emerged. The buried town was stirring. Those who had followed Jack's quiet wisdom were crawling from their icy tombs. Jack stood still, letting the morning wash over him. Ronan appeared at his side, tail wagging.
You saw it coming, Jack. All of it. I am sorry I didn't listen sooner.
Jack only nodded, his eyes still on the white valley that had once been his mockery and was now his proof. The survivors gathered at the foot of the ladder, their faces raw with exhaustion and cold. Silas stepped forward, his hat in his hands.
I was wrong. I called it a treehouse, and I called you a fool. Without Jack, we'd all be dead under our roofs.
It ain't a treehouse. Where the snow comes deep, you build up. Snow slides off. Wind passes through. In the Arctic, the Inuit build above the tundra. In the high Sierras, too. It's just sense where the snow comes hard.
The crowd exchanged glances, not laughter this time. But the heavy weight of a lesson learned too late. Thomas broke from his mother and ran to Jack, wrapping his arms around the trapper's leg. Jack looked down, placed a rough hand on the boy's head, and said nothing.
I'll never doubt a man who builds up again. You have my word, Jack.
Jack took the handshake, his eyes steady, a quiet pact sealed in the snow. The sun climbed higher over the valley, and the little home on stilts stood as proof of what no one had wanted to believe.
I lost the store, but I still have land and lumber. Build with us, Jack. Teach us how.
I'll teach, but I don't take handouts. We build it together.
Jack knelt and sketched a plan in the snow. 4 posts, a ladder, a high vent. By noon, axes rang out. Men felled pines and squared the timbers for the first new stilt cabin. The first post rose, taller than any man, and the frame began to climb against the bright blue sky. Owen worked alongside Jack, learning the rhythm of building up. The old mockery had been replaced by earnest labor. Silas watched from the side, his arms crossed. But now his scowl had softened into something like pride. By late afternoon, the skeleton of a new home stood on stilts, the first of many.
One down. The rest will come easier now.
The valley had turned a page. They would never build flat on the ground again. That evening, the cabin filled with the smell of stew. Survivors crowded the fire, sharing food and quiet talk.
To Jack, who saw what we were too proud to see, may his cabin stand forever.
The man who saw the snow different. We owe you our lives.
Jack half smiled, a rare sight, and raised his cup without a word. Thomas, wrapped in his blanket, leaned against Jack's knee, eyes heavy.
He'll remember this night. We all will.
The fire crackled low, and the cabin, built on stilts, held its warmth against the cold night outside. Unaccustomed to praise, he simply nodded once, his eyes still holding the memory of the storm. He built above the snow, and when the snow came deeper than any living soul remembered, he alone was standing, because the man who built up knew what every snowbound people on earth know. Spring revealed the crushed ground cabins, useless remnants of a breathless winter. New stilt homes rose above the thawing earth, proud and safe.
Ronan, catch.
The Harper cabin stood high, exactly as Jack taught. Owen and Eleanor waved from their new porch. Jack leaned on his railing, a rare peace on his weathered face as the valley woke. The old mockery was gone. The man they'd laughed at had saved them all. He never asked for thanks. He just kept his cabin high, his fire low and his dog close. With each passing day, more stilt cabins rose across the valley floor. The town would never build flat on the ground again. The lesson was paid for in snow and breath, and the man on stilts watched over it all, silent and steady as the mountains. They called him the Treehouse Man, a joke that ran through the whole valley. But when the snow came deeper than any living soul remembered, the man who built up was the only one not buried beneath the drifts. Because he didn't build for one winter, he built for all of them, for every family that might face the snow. And as dusk fell over the transformed valley, something had changed forever. The stilt cabins glowed like promises kept, warm against the deepening blue twilight. Jack's cabin, the highest, stood as the enduring proof of what he always knew. The man who had been laughed at was now the quiet center of a town reborn. He built above the snow, and when the snow came, he alone was standing.